So my experience working with Eric has been really good. So the first thing I liked about Eric when I met him is he wanted to understand my business and my needs instead of trying to tell me what he did, right? And then the conversation gradually progressed to actually me asking him what he did, and then he created a really good relationship where I could kind of express some of the concerns that I had about his product, which I've had for years, right? Like I didn't always buy into the, cash value whole life policy, and so he took the time to educate, listen to my concerns, and from my perspective was zero pressure, right? Which is what resonated with me. I kind of want to be able to figure it out on my own, not necessarily someone to tell me what to do. So ultimately, that's probably how I got into doing this product, was just from his patience and educating more than selling. So what I learned about the concept of the policy that I have that I didn't know before was really probably related to the ability to get a loan from the policy. The other thing that Eric kind of showed me was, it's not an either or, right? Like it can be an and. And so I was always of the mentality, like, let's first hit the IRAs, the 401ks, those kind of things first. This is my own perspective. Everyone's going to think about it different. Then if there's extra money left over, then let's look at maybe doing a whole life policy with a, cash value accrual and build up. But it never really clicked to make sense for me until I realized that I could still have some liquidity from that cash that I'm putting into it through the policy loans. And so that's where it's kind of like, oh, okay, I can see how now this could benefit me. And that was probably the biggest thing that was the learning experience that I had from talking with Eric. So some of the benefits that I've already experienced from doing the banking policy are this. In my game of doing hard money loans and flipping, a lot of properties, liquidity is super important for me. So I always want to have access to funds through lines of credit, HELOCs, right? Or just liquidity through short-term investments. I don't always like to tie up a lot of money all the time. When I'm buying rentals, I like to structure it so I can pull my money out. My strategy that I've chosen to do is, pump as much as I can into my premiums the first 3 years through the paid up insurance premium provisions. And I'm probably getting that wrong, but where I'm front loading as much as I can the future premiums so that they could be paid up in full, I believe, in the first 3 years, right? And so what that's allowing me to do is if I can have a few good years and front load this thing, I don't have the pressure of committing to make that annual premium every year, because I will have paid enough that the dividend will increase off of that higher balance to start. And then it will kind of self-fund my premium for the rest of the term of the policy. I also activated the feature that has, in the first 7 years, a higher term death benefit. So I decided to do that because, some of the properties that I have, I don't have like a separate insurance policy on those or something like that. So if I were to pass away, my death benefit is like maybe 5 times higher in the first 4 or 5 years. And so that would greatly help maybe, pay off some mortgages or whatever, reduce the burden for my wife. But the key with all of this for me was being able to access those funds. Not that I'm robbing the cash value, but I'm getting a loan against the policy itself, right? So in 7 or 8 years, I'll be able to access pretty much dollar for dollar for what's in there. Right now, there is still a little bit of a deficiency. So if, let's say I have $150,000 that I've contributed, I can, which I've already done this, where I pulled back 125 through a policy loan at way cheaper rates than I would borrow it from a private lender or myself, right? And I was able to purchase a property. So in a way, I'm kind of double dipping because I'm still growing my cash value inside of that policy. I still have the death benefit, but then I have access to maybe 80% of my funds until I get over that threshold in a few years. And then I have access to, much more of the compounding nature of the cash accrual in that policy. So for that reason, it made all the sense in the world for me. I've used those funds to buy another property while at the same time having those funds still inside the policy to, continue to create the cash value and to have that death benefit.